Muchas gracias por asistir a nuestro primer live a través de LinkedIn. Queremos darles las gracias por su asistencia y también por permitirnos llegar hasta sus lugares con esta presentación que queremos hacer para ustedes y para que también puedan encontrar material que puedan usar en sus entrevistas, ahora que las personas que están buscando empleo. Y pues sabemos que cuando una persona está buscando empleo, siempre el factor de nervios está ahí presente, ¿no? Pero cuando es un segundo idioma, pues creo que hay un poquito más, lo eleva. Entonces queremos que con la práctica y con estos tips ustedes puedan encontrar un momento un poquito más tranquilo para que puedan llevar a cabo esta entrevista y que puedan tener éxito en ella. Queremos presentar a nuestra maestra, Rose. Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Ella se encargará junto con nuestro director, George Gardea, de llevar a cabo este roleplay que vamos a presentar para ustedes y al final tendremos algunos asistentes que podrán participar con una o dos preguntas para que puedan participar varias personas. ¿Ok? Entonces vamos a dejarlos aquí con ellos y vamos a dejar con Rose.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I wanted to share with you guys some information about interviews. These days, interviews most likely will happen partially online or a video. So as soon as you find out you have an interview, you want to make sure you prepared your hardware. Make sure you have the necessary tools to perform the interview. The next thing that you're going to want to do, let me do this a little differently, is you're going to want to select the proper location. Make sure that you don't have little kids running around, the dog is outside and not barking in the background, and watch your cell phones. Make sure that their volume is turned all the way down. Test your technology. You have all the pieces, you know your computer's working, but is your computer working with the internet? Are the speakers working? Do you have a headset so that you have a microphone and can be heard clearly? So on the interview day, check the equipment at least an hour before your interview time, and check it again a half an hour before your interview time. Sometimes when we let the computer sit for a while unattended, things can happen. So just make sure and be confident. Dress professionally. Even if you're at home having an interview online, feel professional. Get that energy of being in an office. Don't sit like this. You want to sit up straight. You want to have a good professional image. Make sure that you're looking straight into the camera. Make sure that you know exactly where the point on your computer where you're going to be looking. People, if you start looking all over, it's very distracting. So try and pick a point and keep that point straight on with the camera. Again, good posture. Body language is going to tell an interviewer a lot about your energy, a lot about your mood. So make sure you keep everything positive. Speak in a conversational tone. And this is also going to help you control your pace of speech. It's going to help you feel more confident when you're answering questions. All right. When you're online, it's very different than when you're face-to-face in an interview. You want to give time for the interviewer to finish asking a question before you start to answer the question. And we'll do some practicing with that. This is one of my favorite things to remind people to do. After your interview, if it's online, it's perfectly acceptable to send a thank you note via email, just as you would if you were meeting somebody in person, a thank you note. Thanks so much for meeting with me. I look forward to talking with you further about my qualifications. And follow up on progress. Hiring times these days, especially with COVID, can be slower. So don't think that you're only going to follow up once. You may have to follow up once a week. Something that makes sense. Okay? Let me share with you a couple more specific ideas. I apologize, just a moment. All right. So you've just landed the interview. It's time to prepare. Let's get more specific about what that might mean. The first thing I like to do before a job interview is to find out information about the history and the culture of the company that I'm going to be interviewing with. The beauty of doing your research is that you're going to come across as a knowledgeable participant, someone who is familiar with the company's goals and their mission. I always recommend practicing your answers. Rehearse common interview questions, and try to rehearse them out loud so that you can hear yourself practicing and practicing with another person. That's always the best way to do it. If you have a friend or a roommate or a husband or wife that you can practice with even another coworker, if it's a situation that's comfortable. Whenever you're answering questions, you want to make sure that any of the answers that you're giving are tied back to your specific skills and accomplishments. And the way I remember how to do this is to be a star. If you're going to answer questions, you want to make sure that you have these star qualities. You want to answer the situation or describe the situation and context and background of your example. Describe the task. Describe what was required of you. What were people asking you to do? The action describes what you did and what tools you used to do it. Did you have to use a computer? Did you have to use a copier? Did you have to know how to live stream? And then the results. Describe the success or growth that you had from this experience. That's going to be the most powerful way to answer your questions, covering all of these things: the situation, task, action, and the result. Before you go into your job interview, and I do this right before, sometimes I'll sit in my car and read through things. These days, I would be sitting at my computer reading through all the common interview questions. I'm going to study the job description that they write. Pay attention to the key words that are used by different companies. You can use those same keywords to paint a picture of where you're going to fit in to that company, where your skills and your experience fit into the company. I always like to recommend preparing at least 2 questions to ask at the end of the interview. When you get to the end of the interview, there's usually and do you have any questions for me, from your interviewer? This is where you can show your personality. So you ask about something that interests you about the company. This is where your research comes in handy too. For example, in this second box here, it says, I've read about the company culture, and I want to know if it's really true that people take meetings outside walking. If you do this with enthusiasm, or you do this genuinely, it shows interest in the culture of the company, and it shows that you have a desire to know more and be part of it. Don't forget, always, always plan what you are going to wear ahead of time. Don't pull it out of the laundry basket wrinkled. You want things to look nice, so I always recommend a day before. And if you have to go to a live interview, take a copy of your resume and a notebook and pen. Make sure you have a pen. I have all of that right here with me, a notebook, pen. Always, always be ready to write down what they offered to tell you about. All right, let me stop sharing here. And it looks like I have a question here from Hector. Thank you. And for anybody that doesn't know, please feel free to use your chat box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you can send me a question. This question from Hector says, "Hi Rose, is it possible to talk to other person in neutral English if we do not know exactly formal words?" And I would say yes, it's definitely the way to do it. If you don't know the exact English phrase to use, or the idioms or phrasal verbs that might be most popular in the English language, use what you've got. Explain as much as you can. It's so important to have a really good grasp of your English, so keep practicing. But if you're going into an interview where you're going to need to speak English, definitely use your English to the best of your ability. Most English speakers will appreciate that you're putting the effort in. And in my experience, most people can be understood. Body language is everything. It'll be great. All right. Now, I think we're going to do a role play here. Let me see. With George Gardea. George, are you here? Oh, there you are.
Hi there. Hi.
Hey.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. And Rose and I will do now a role play to show you how, Rose will answer as a sample for the rest of you. Okay. Use this information as, as best as possible. I'm sure all of this will be very useful for you in your future interviews. Okay. So now let's start with the role play. Well, Rose, thank you very much for meeting with me at this time. It's a little bit late in the afternoon, so I appreciate your effort of being here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, George.
All right. Rose, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions, all right? Could you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I'd be happy to tell you about myself. I like to, whenever somebody asks this question in an interview, I like to establish a professional background. So George, I have been teaching for several years, and I'm so excited to be able to share the knowledge that I have, not just from school, but from working with students and helping them to develop their language skills. One of my favorite things to do is to see the progress of my students and to really keep track of things so that I can see what has worked as a teacher, as an educator, and how I can better help my students.
Thank you. And what are your greatest strengths and weaknesses?
Greatest strengths and weaknesses. This is always a tricky question in an interview, because one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to highlight your weaknesses. I always like to tell the story of a problem that has come up in a job that I had previously and how I resolved it. Whether that resolution was using my technical skills, knowing how to find the information online. So many times, some of our greatest strengths are things that we're not perfect at, but we really know how to find that information.
Okay, thank you. Rose, why do you want this position?
The reason I'm looking for this position is I really want to emphasize, when this question is asked, what the company's mission and accomplishments are. One thing I love about this company, Professional English, is that I get to work with professionals. I get to work with people who are driven, who are educated, and who want to better their opportunities in life. And I want to be a part of helping other people accomplish goals.
Thank you. And why are you leaving your job?
Whenever an interviewer asks about leaving a job, I don't want to mention anything negative about any current or past companies that I've worked for or people. I really just want to talk about my personal growth. So George, I want to focus on becoming a great teacher. I want to be able to reach people that maybe I wouldn't have been able to before if I hadn't learned some of the skills from my previous jobs, such as how to work with people, how to slow my rate of speech so that people can understand what I'm saying, different things like that.
Thank you. And last question, why should we hire you?
I think emphasizing my skills in working with people. One of the things that was really important to me when I was first seeking a teaching position was having the flexibility to teach online. In this kind of a format, it is so much more beneficial for my situation and my family. And I feel like because I'm so much more at peace, I will be able to give more to the job and the company.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good. Thank you. So thank you. And anybody out there would like to practice a question or two, feel free to raise your hand, and we could ask you one of these questions. And don't be shy, risk it. We'll help you in your answer if your English is not there yet. And if your English is already there, this is a moment of practice, okay? Like Rose mentioned, practice will help you to deal with your nerves, with your stress in the real interview. Okay, so anybody's willing to participate, please raise your hands. Do we have any?
Oh, we don't have cameras on.
Okay. Anybody would like to turn on their cameras to participate? No, come on, don't be shy.
There we go.
All right, this is the moment of practice. I think we see Jose there.
Is this Jose?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is Jose, George. Nice seeing you.
Yeah, good seeing you. Hi there, Jose.
Oh, fine, thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right, Jose, would you like to practice?
Yeah, no problem. It'll be fine.
All right, Jose, I'll pick one of the questions here. And I think I'll ask you, can you tell me more about yourself?
Well, I have been a teacher since I was 20 years old. And I think that I have been getting in touch with the language since a long time ago. I really love help people because you know that English sometimes is a little bit difficult for some students. But I really like to help them. I feel good for that.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other participant? Anybody else would like to practice? We got a Hector, we got Fabi, America, right? Mario Gutierrez, Ricardo. Turn on your cameras. Don't be shy. This is the mode of practice. I think Ricardo's turning on his camera.
I think so too.
I think Ricardo is. Hey, Ricardo.
Hello, George.
Hi, Ricardo. All right.
I have a question. In this moment, I have a company, but this company, I have it stopped because I don't have enough work to we don't have a balance, and I have stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
In an interview, when it's a good point to ask if the question is why you wanna leave another work. The answer is I have a business, but in this moment I have stopped it and I'm looking for work.
Rose, you wanna?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You know, whenever somebody asks about why you're leaving your current and looking for another job, I think the most important thing is to focus on the job that you are going for.
Yeah.
They don't need to know what you're planning on doing a year from now, especially I'm thinking about during this time of the pandemic. I wouldn't bring up your business. You can bring it up as, you know, I had my own business and life happens, things have changed. So now I'm really focused on doing this job. And what I want from this job is I want to be able to use my skills to help support my family and to keep us.
Okay.
Yeah, because that could be a stopper. That could be
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be really careful about talking about having an interest outside of the job that you're applying for.
Yeah. Remember, they're going to invest in you, and then that's money and time. So at least they want a long-term investment in somebody who they hire, not somebody who's going to leave them in 6 months or less than a year. So like Rose said, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. Yeah. Okay. Oh, great. Okay, good. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so I see that you're starting to be a little bit more confident out there. Anybody else? Abby, Miriam, America, Mario. All right. I speak Spanish. You can ask me in Spanish. Rose,
absolutely.
A little bit. So, si hay una pregunta en español que pueda aclarar, que no se animen, aquí les podemos contestar también. So, es el momento.
Thanks, Rose and George. I have a question. Would you tell us some maybe keywords to have a successful interview?
Keywords?
Yeah, maybe some words that if we use them, the impact to the interview would be better, you know? And would you tell us about some words maybe that you can give us?
I think for me, keywords are going to have a lot to do with the research that you do about the company you're applying to. For example, I have students who are chemists and I have students who are travel agents. So the keywords for their jobs are going to be very different. So the research is really important. Look again at the job description, and often in the job description, they will have keywords that are important. Some general keywords in English that would be important are teamwork, education, experience, positive attitude, multitasking, I don't know. George, do you have anything else?
Interpersonal skills,
Yes.
experience, successful, a challenge. All right. Okay. A hurdle we went through. Things that when you're going to explain, because one of the things that employers or interviewers are looking for really is cases that you had before and how you overcame them and why, because they want to visualize, who am I hiring and is this the right person? And obviously, depending on the story, because you will have a narrative, you will give a narrative of how successful you were in that company. And you want to highlight that narrative with adjectives, like Rose mentioned. It was a teamwork, okay? And it was a success. We overcame this because we did these, we implemented this process. I started a new process. I made some changes. So basically it's a narrative. And if it's going to be a narrative, Fabi, I recommend, if your English is good enough, you don't have to worry about it. But if your English is not there yet, do work on your verbs in the past. Your verbs in the past and all the tenses that you can talk about the past. Remember, there are different forms to talk about the past. So I would work on that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I think they might be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. All right. We had Jose, we had Ricardo, we had Fabi. America, you want to participate? Caesar, Garduño, Mario. Mina's here with me.
That's good.
Mina's here with us. Okay. So come on, guys. This is the moment for participation.
Ruth,
Okay.
do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question for George, if I can ask.
Go ahead.
Yeah, George. Sometimes, when you are looking for a job, the typical question is to ask, how do you see yourself in 5 years? What is the purpose of that question? I mean, because I know that the person that is interviewing you is trying to get what is your point of view or your plan for in that company, probably. I don't know.
I would say, like Rose mentioned, stick to the job. I think you wanna describe yourself, how you see yourself in the company 5 years from now, and how your growth and your participation will benefit the company, how good you will do, and how many things will happen with you as being part of that company. I don't think they are asking you about how do you see yourself in your personal life. You could mention a little bit, but I think basically it's to stick to the job description, because they remember the employer will invest in you, and they're trying to think, is this person looking for a job just for a year or 6 months, or this person does have an ambition and an ambition to grow with us, because they want to see somebody who's ambitious, and they want to see you grow, the company grows.
And what will be the answer? I mean, what will be the I don't know, the attitude for the interviewer when you are motivated in order to, I don't know, like I want to be the in charge of something. So probably it would be misunderstood because they think that you are something like.
You got to be careful. If the HR manager is interviewing you, I would not say I want to be the HR manager soon, right? Like next year. It's a good thing what Rose said, research, be prepared for these questions, because these are questions that they will definitely ask you. Be honest as much as you can. Don't lie. People can see through you. If you lie, especially HR, they know when people are lying. They've been doing this for a long time. That's what they do. So they'll know if you're lying. So try to be as honest as possible. but obviously, you know, trying to project yourself with a, you know, a positive attitude of what you will do to contribute into the, you know, with the company. But the grammar structure and all that, well, it's all future. You know, if you're talking about the language itself, I see myself, oh, that's a very interesting question. And now that you ask, I do see myself, you know, being part of management and, you know, being part, you know, making decisions for the company and expanding the company. So if you use these words, expansion, growing, making decisions, I think these are key words that, you know, managers or HR will, you know, want to listen to. I want to listen to them, so I'm.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what about when they ask you if you are a flexible person?
A flexible what? Sorry?
A flexible person. That
Like,
you're flexible. Are they thinking about that you are going to adapt to any program that they ask you to, or that they are afraid that you are going to not to follow the rules and you say, yeah, I teach like this and that's it?
oh, well, if you're talking about teaching style, it all, like, you know, it's, I go back, you know, it's a great thing what Rose said, research the company. If it's a school, in your case, if it's a school and you're going to be going to a school where it's a big one and they all have a fixed methodology, I don't think they're going to ask you if you're going to be flexible. I think they won't even ask you that question. They will tell you, this is our methodology and we would want you to adapt to our methodology. It would be the other way around, like not them being flexible, but you would have to adapt to how they do their things. And it all depends if you really want to do it. And if it's in your nature of saying, yeah, I'm open to it, do it. If you're not, you better tell them there and then, you know, tell them the truth, because if you're going to have it's going to be a high impact for you and the company. If you say that you're flexible in this case, but you're not, just to get the job, well, it's going to be hardship for you and your employer.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I thought that it was something about like if somebody in the coordination asked you to do something. For example, there is a teacher that is not coming today. If you are able to, or you are willing to help, kind of that, or you participate in a conference or in a meeting room or with a teacher meeting, something like that.
Are you, let me ask, Jose, have you ever had to give someone difficult feedback?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Giving difficult feedback is a common question when you're interviewing. How would you handle that? What would you say? If you have to give someone difficult feedback, saying something like, you know, I just don't know that you're grasping the concept well.
That's good. That question's for me, Rose?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's, you know, my style, my philosophy is start with a positive, but you do have to tell people where they can improve on. You don't have to be rude. You do have to be direct. So people know exactly how to modify whatever that needs to be modified, you know, in case there's some feedback. Just mention the key points where they need to work on, you know, make them see and make them understand, or if they acknowledge this, will they accept this feedback? And this is important, you know, if you're having somebody who accepts the feedback, obviously make sure that the feedback you're giving is accurate.
Yeah.
You're not just going to make up feedback for making up feedback. Whatever you're going to give feedback has to be accurate, has to be precise. So when you tell them feedback, give them feedback, but not only feedback, give them ways on how to improve. Just don't say, well, you're not doing this right. The process is not right. So you got to work on the process. So no, I mean, if you already identified the problem, part of my job or anybody, whoever is giving you feedback, is give you feedback, but also tell you how to improve on that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So if you're asked a question like that in an interview, one of the things that you might want to mention too, if you're looking at, I was thinking about Jose's question,
Yeah.
if you're looking at wanting to get into management, you're going to want to talk about how you document everything. So when you're telling someone in an interview about a difficult situation that you had or difficult feedback that you had to give, make sure you talk about how you've documented it so that it's fair and it is accurate information like you were talking about, George.
Yeah,
They'll
exactly.
know that this is not, usually when you have to give difficult feedback, it's not a surprise because you've been working with people
Yeah.
all the way through. And I think if you're looking at going into a management type position, you want to think about all of the aspects of that.
Thanks so much, Jose. Thank you. Anybody else? No? Well, I think, well, Rose, I want to thank you very much for this very valuable experience and the information that you shared with all of us, and to all our participants and viewers here. Thank you very much for making the time to being with us today. I will invite you for further webinars with different content. As a matter of fact, we will have one next Tuesday, September 14th, and the topic I find quite interesting. Okay, we will have a talk about the importance of English at work and companies. And we will show you information with accurate statistics and data and information. You'll be surprised. And I think this information will be very valuable for most of you, if not all of you. I think everybody. It's great. It's going to be good. We'll have some special guests. And thank you very much.
Thank
all right.
you guys.
Thank you, Rose.
Thanks for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you, George.
All right.
Thank you very much. See you.
All right. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Join, you can send us any messages if you want, if you want more information, we can help you directly by sending us, direct information. We can't tell you here directly on LinkedIn, but you can, if you want any information, send us their information to our email. All right. Or you can call us. Okay. 31 20 21 53 54 68. This is our phone in Guadalajara. We are based in Guadalajara. That's our telephone number. And Mina, do you have anything to say about a different way of contacting us?
Yes.
Your mic.
Mina, you want to come here? Yeah. All right, Mina is writing the information, our contact information, if you have any more questions. Okay, that's another phone number. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Mina.
Thank you.